Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday evening. This is the late night edition. Yeah, it's not a scary program. No, it's just Jimmy up here in 8 stories above Chops here in Boca Raton, Florida. Sipping a little cold soda water. I was sipping a little soda water. Yeah. This is the 603rd episode of what we do here. Yeah. And, yeah, it's amazing. 600 episodes. Over a lot of years, you know. So, yeah, come on. Sometimes I'm like 5 or 6 times a week, and sometimes I'm like every other day. Sometimes I drop off for a week because I'm not feeling well or something. You know, when you're over 80, there's all kinds of things that can happen. But this little studio right here, I can, let's turn that epidemic down just a tad. There we go. There we go. Got down the brightness on my MacBook Pro, the Air Edition, which is, yeah, it's a dandy. Let's see if I can get some, I just go here, yeah. Yeah, hit the about, I don't know if you can't probably see this on screen. Let's go. There we go. It's similar to, you hit general, then you hit about, and I just wanted to tell you the real poop. It's Jim W's MacBook Air, which is a MacBook Pro, the Air Edition. So it's sealed. There are no fans blowing around. A few other ways in which they keep the processor cool. My processor doesn't get that warm. The main body of the aluminum frame that's machined rather than squeezed. There's a temperature difference of about, up on the very top edge here, right above the number keys, it gets, like 5 or 8 degrees warmer. I've actually measured it with a thermometer here, one that you aim at an air conditioning duct to see if there's cold air coming out or not. Anyway, this runs perfectly with the streaming situation. Although we're not streaming onto Facebook, apparently because of the recent update with the software somewhere, I have to go create a new key or something or other to stream with Facebook. So I will do that, let's say tomorrow. Since now I know it's not working for real. Anyway, we have the chip is a Apple M4 chip, M4. So it's one chip behind the M5. But, I'm not doing aggressive video editing, which might require a little extra speed or a few extra cores, or where the difference is between the 4 and the 5. The bigger the number, the better. But I do have 32 gigabytes of memory. It comes like standard with 16 gigabytes, so I doubled that. And I know that's important. And I have AppleCare Plus. It's paid up for until December 5th of 2026. Apparently I bought the whole year at one time. It's on macOS Tahoe version 26.5. There's, I think, a 26.51 that I can get and download tonight. But you don't launch that from the About. You launch that from the Software Update. So you look at that one. I'm clicking it on right now, and it's hunting through the internet to see, do I have an update available? And it's going to say, yes, you do, sir. When would you like to get it going? So it says we'll try to do it later tonight. That sounds like a winner. So that's no more. We don't need to talk anymore about that. Just wanted to say hi and let you know I'm here. This full screen mode of my little studio setup, which is half of a 60 inch by 48 inch table. Marilyn gets 24 inches on that side. I get 24 inches on this side. I put a piece of blue tape all the way down. This is my side, that is your side. How about that? And that's what we got. So I got my little thing here. I got black napkins covering things so that there we go. Yeah, I can move it around. There's a printer over there. There's some Maryland stuff. So we're just like that. And then when I add my this guy right here, whoops, wrong side. Click on that. Swap cameras. See how fast I can do that with. I do that with this hand. This hand I jiggle. All right, just so you know, I am a licensed real estate guy, and there is my license. Yeah. Well, you probably can't see it because, let's see, why can't we see that? WWDC. Yeah. There we go. There we go. I was trying to squeeze that down so you could see everything that's in this album. Yeah, gee. So complicated. There we go. So now when I click this, you got the whole picture. Worldwide Developer Conference. It's in Cupertino, California. It is conducting, let's see, it's 10:09. It's only 8 p.m. there, so they're breaking for dinner, and they're going to talk about the software and stuff. It's an Apple thing. You have to fly there at your own expense. Pay for your own everything, probably. Tickets are probably $1,000, $2,000 a piece. I don't know. Never been invited. It's invited, but you got to pay. There's my equipment. Obviously. There, how about that phone dial down there on the. We used to go around. We used to do that. Roslyn 3 5525. That was my home number when I was 10 years old. Now, James, don't forget your phone number in case something happens. They didn't have cell phones back then, in the last century. There's Jimmy and Marilyn. There it is. That's a road that was taken on May 31 at 10:52 a.m. Yeah, the Siri Bob. Whoa, there's a little video flying over the reflection pool that Trump just finished off for a mere $10 million. Yeah, shh. And it's a repeating video. This is a Tesla Robotaxi. Oh, there it goes. There we go. No driver. And the driving right out of the factory, going into the street, and riding off into a lot somewhere in the Austin area. Probably they're expanding the number of robotaxis that are floating around. Total autonomous driving. Oh, there's another one right out of the factory. Can you imagine? It wasn't long ago where you'd have a bunch of teenagers all lined up. As soon as one would peek its nose in the factory, the little teenager would hop in there and park it in lot D, number 27. Yeah, or something. Here the cars drive themselves out of the factory into a parking lot, or this. I think these are going to. Yep, here's the Semi. A quick little video presentation, which I put together for you. Coming off the Apple site. I have no. Look at that, a whole caravan of them. Yeah, it's a loop. Here it shows the taxi backing over a thing like when you charge your watch, you just put it on something. You don't have to plug the car in. This mat sits right on the floor and signals up into a receptor in the trunk. Yeah, there you go. There's another bunch of robotaxis. There's 4 of them. They're all separately automated driving. Yeah. They're all tagged. See, they've got Texas tags. This is full self-driving. This is a screen that I would see if I was actually driving in my I have a Tesla, by the way. And this is the view that you get. It's got the blue thing in the front. Watch out for that bicyclist. Yeah, that tells you that you're on full self-driving because it wants you to pay attention to the road, but it also gives you a graphic over here in the screen that's in the middle of the dashboard over here to the right side, since our steering wheels are on the left side. See, there's someone. There you go. Yeah. All right. So this is today for the next 36 minutes. I wanted to show you you should pause this tape sometime after any time. And look at number 3. You should always perform your own research and consult with a professional before making any financial decisions. Your money and your financial matters are your personal responsibility. Do not wager money on risky gambling or too good to be rich scenarios. Don't do it, I'm telling you. Because I'm going to show because now I'm going to immediately show you some risky things which I'm telling you not to do. This is more of a study on how I'm not a math major, I was a math minor, but I took a lot of math in college. And I taught high school math, actually, for a couple of years. How about that? Yeah, it's interesting to teach high school math. You really have to understand it to be able to teach it. I learned that the hard way. Oh, yeah, man, I used to go, the week before, you have to make up a lesson plan for a whole week. So, before I would turn it into the principal, and he would, department head, whatever, I think it was the principal. And so I wrote out my lesson plan. I'm an outline guy, so you had to write it out on the yellow pad and make a copy of it and hand it in. Put your name on top, put your room number. Oh, it's upstairs somewhere in the new classroom building, thank God. They just built a brand new one. Yeah. All right, let's see. We have to come all the way over here. And then I have to grab, there it is. I gotta grab this thing and move it over. There we are. So you can see the whole. There we go. So now you can see everything that I see. I got more pixels on my iPad Pro than the number of pixels that have been allocated for the split screen look. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a lesson in how to deal with lots of data. Okay, so this data happens to be, just by coincidence, has nothing to do with not promoting any gambling schemes or anything like that. We're more or less, see, now here is the actual, there we go. So now you see what I see on the screen. This is, look at all this data. Oh my lordy, there's lots of data. Yeah. So, they happen to be, this happens to be, see, on on Friday, March 20, for example, they started a new Mega Million drawing because someone won the $60 million jackpot on March 17, on Tuesday. So Friday, on the 20th, see right there, March 20. Yeah, I did a little finger reverse pinch. Put this back down to 50% as low as you go. And then I've blocked out, so it's only, it's like 30% or 10% or 20% brightness on all that number. Because I'm trying to, remember, I'm a adjunct faculty at a 30,000 student university. So I'm into being professorial. So this is an exercise on how one would depict what's going on with the Mega Millions lottery. That's all. This is Tuesday, Friday. Just twice a week I have to update it. I mean, it looks like a whole lot of work. I guess when you look at it all in one, it's huge. That's why I only show 2 rows. Just like that. And then I do a print screen. And that's what you're going to see in a moment, because I'm going to touch that and go back. This is actually a print screen of a portion of what I just showed you. The $413 million. There it is right there. See, 413. This is the actual numbers. They call it numbers. It's like Excel. So since the iPad, you see, I'm moving things around with my fingers, or it's touchscreen. So you can really louse this up real quickly if you have Russian hands and Roman fingers. Like underneath this $6,200 number, I'm going to hit this little keyboard thing, so I'll show you. Look at the equation on the bottom there, where it says round. So we're going to round. We're going to go to C50, and then we're going to divide it by bracket, 4 brackets. 1 divided by 0.05, because it's a 5% growing annuity. You take that to the 30th power, then take 1 away from that, and you take that number and divide it by 0.05, because it's a 5% interest rate market. And we're going to round it to the 10,000ths of the number. And that's what -5 is. So you can see right there, it's $6,200. So now I'm going to get out of this somehow, because we don't want to do anything with that. So I'm just going to do nothing. Yeah, because we don't want to louse up that formula, because I got 30 rows of stuff that go all the way across here to get up to the 30th payment, and 6,200 grows to 25 million. 6 million two grows to 25 million with a 5% growing annuity. Just so you know, it's serious business here. Not that I'm gonna benefit from any of it. Don't play. That's the best rule. I'm just showing you how you can present this statistical model. And remember, I only show you. Whoops. I only show what happened the last drawing, which would have been Tuesday. I'm going to slide this over, because that's where I left off. Right there. And now I'm going to shut it down so I don't mess it up, because I'm going to my photo images. I got the same data, but I can't louse it up. I can turn it upside down, right side up. So here is the columns that show. So if you were, the odds of winning this is 290 million to 1 that you will not win this. So this is not an investment opportunity. This is, if you pay $5 for one of these tickets, just say to yourself, you're making a donation to the education fund of the state of Florida. There is some, I think 30% of the ticket price, or some percentage. I actually don't know the percentage, but it's, it's not 2%. I think it's, like 30 maybe. And that goes right to the Department of Education, state of Florida, to help teach our students. So you're just making a donation to that, and the rest of it is expense. And, if you get struck by lightning having to win something, God bless you, but chances of winning anything is slim and none. Okay, I've said enough about that. And remember, I just showed you all my limiters and delimiters and all that stuff. So just be careful. Don't do it. That's the... let's see if we can go right here. We can get back, and we can go right back down here to yeah, just try. Yeah, I want to get right down to there. Read number 3 again. Read it again. Yeah. You can pause that and then read it in detail. Yeah. There it is. Number 3.
It's 11:15.
Do not wager money on risky gambling. And believe me, lotteries are losing games. Disclaimers, disclosures, streams, warnings, notices, and cautions. I got it covered. There's 7 basic buckets of things. We own stuff around here, and we're not trying to sell anything. We're getting no reimbursements from anybody or anything. I am a real estate broker, so I do sell real estate, but not on this show. No, I do not even mention a single property. So on Tuesday, June 9th, right? This is Wednesday, June 10th. Yesterday, they had a rolling for the $392 million lottery, and guess what happened? No one won it. Nope. We're in that nasty, oopsie doopsie, we want to get out of there. We want to go to the photo album. I'm going to come back here. And one more carrot, there we go. Favorites. Bingo, there's favorites. So this is all my photos. Look at the doggies. That is my Cavalier. You know how we can tell what kind of dog it is? We'll lift up on the image and see where it says Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. That's what it is. It has identified the dog. You can press look up and it will go there and give you the same result. There it is, Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. So, there's Cocker Spaniel below, but it's not Cocker. It has longer legs in proportion to its body. It ends up with, there you go, let's see. Oh, God, I don't want to do challenges. I just want to see the dog. There we go. That's what one of these dogs would look like. Oops, we're going to have to shrink this up a little bit so we don't lose its tail and its head. There you go, that's what my dog will look like when it's all grown up, except it's all that one color right there. There's just a little bit of white here and there. Mostly there. Anyway, the facial recognition features of the computer system has determined what the animal is, which I think is quite interesting. Yeah. Look at that little guy. But see, see the hair on the lower foot there? It's, so it's going to have bushy feet, bushy coming out of the elbows. And, yeah, it's got nice ears, has a little face. That's my little 5.5 months. It was born on January 1, 2026, New Year's Day. This sucker popped out of mama. Yep. In the litter. It was like early in the morning because some of its brothers and sisters have a December 31 birthday, and this one came out of the birth canal later on after several others were born. Yep, look at that. There's a little portrait of the face. Yeah, that's it. She's napping right down here in the little bed next to me. She likes to be wherever I am. My daughter bought this for my birthday. Yeah, like I needed something to do around here. Oh, there she is. Her eye just opened up when I got my camera. That's her favorite shoe that she chews on. I did not put that there. She happens to be sleeping with it. That's a size 9 shoe to give you an idea how long her body is. And now she's sleeping and now she's awake. That's at 4:37 p.m. That's 4:33 p.m. So I went back for a second picture and she started peeking up at me. Like, what are you doing with that iPhone camera? This is Melania and Jill Biden are feuding? I don't think so. That's the news media. William reportedly is behind the Harry's ban from the royal wedding of the year. Sources detailed below. So I just did a little screen capture, whatever that was. It was written by Lizzie Olanza. This is all British tabloid stuff. Kate gives a vulnerable cancer update after William confessed he couldn't cope if he lost her. Yeah. Look at that hat. It looks like a frisbee with a little thing on there. So the British are into this. The British, royalty is into crazy hats. Watch out for that candle or she's going to light the cat on fire. Here's how a SpaceX rocket looks like after it's been launched, and this is what's the water vapor that's left in the atmosphere. Just going through some of these photos I saved here. Bombardier Global 8000 jet flew from Canada to France without refueling. That's, an $80 million aircraft, no problem. 80 mil. Or $1 million a month for 80 months. All right, so this was, you can see the time and date stamp up on the very top, I think. There you go, you can see it right there. Yesterday at 3:18 p.m. Yesterday at 1 p.m., apparently the Dow Jones wasn't doing too well. Trump, Iran shot down Apache helicopter. $54 million helicopter. It got shot down with a $5,000 missile from Iran. That's not a very even distribution of war efforts. 50,000 versus 54 million. That's 100 times. There's my doggy sitting on my shoe still. Fortunately, it's a synthetic material, so she can be chewing for quite some time without actually ripping any pieces off. That's the Apache helicopter that got shot down. I think I read somewhere it was like over $50 million to that little guy with all those rockets and all that stuff. And he got knocked down by a $5,000 drone. Never heard a word about that part. Oh yeah, the pilots escaped and they go into the escape. Well, great. But how did it get shot? Doesn't it have any evasive maneuver capabilities? Stuff to shoot back at approaching missiles. So that's what I see in the movies. All right, I did a print screen of the Tesla stock. I can go to a website called Stocks. There we go. And we can see that I drive a Tesla, so I look at the Tesla stock. I do not own one share of Tesla stock. Yeah, no, I do not. I look at it for the heck of it because I drive their cars. Ooh, and it went down 15 points today. About 3%. Eesh. So we can look at the Yahoo, more data from Yahoo. Let's touch that. Another window will open up. Take your time. There we go. Yahoo Finance, up on the top. .com. I'm not promoting shares. I don't own any. I don't know Elon. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just looking at that's public information. Apparently, I can do you can see what I see. There we go. Just slide it. Yep, or just do this. Yeah. So you see in the middle, it goes from 10 until 12. So it went up a little bit, and then pretty much a slide all the way down to noon, and then it look up from noon with a less of a slope, and then it's here it is. It petered out at 381.90 post. After the market. See, this in red here is what happened with the stock market during the 9:30 to 4 p.m. 9:30 to 4 p.m. Yeah. See, close at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it was down 15.09 to 381. And overnight trading up until 11:25. So that's 30 seconds ago. It was up 31 cents from the 4 p.m. close. So that's with this little dribbly. You can actually pull this over and look at the trading volume, and at 7:38 p.m. and there's like So 381.81. There you go. 381.92. There's a trade that just went through. There's another trade that just went through for 381.81. So it's bouncing. These are probably eighths or sixteenths. You wouldn't put in your buy order 381.81. You'd put in 381 and an eighth. You know, something like 0.12, 12.5 cents. Yep, just went down to this. And it's, it's more than one buyer or seller that goes through in these little pop. Now this is not showing every single transaction. It's just like every 5 or 10 seconds it uploads. See, it's 381.84 went up 3 cents. Oh, we were talking. Here's the news. Right down there, news. You press that button. There we go. Here's all the news. You can see it all if I just move this over. There we go. So now you can see pretty much what I'm looking at. Tesla stock faces downward pressure as investors. I think that's exactly what's going on. There's some selling going on because there's some SpaceX people that have already made plenty of money in space with the Tesla. And since the SpaceX IPO, which is going to be in that $1.75 trillion IPO. Whoever the hell, that was the biggest IPO ever in the history of mankind. Happens Friday. You got 2 days. You got basically 1 day to go because today's over from the stock market. So people are selling their stock because they want to buy some of that. I just clipped out an article. Let's go to my picture album. Close up all this stuff. There it is. Photos, baby. There we go. And we don't want this. We're going to get rid of the... Shut down that spreadsheet before I louse it up. Okay, I've clipped the story. Here it is. SpaceX IPO is 400%. That's 4x oversubscribed. In other words, so the amount of money that's available for the retail investor, which there's like 30% of the stock of the, I think they're selling like 30, I guess 70 or 80, $75 billion worth of new shares. 75 billion of a 1.7 trillion IPO, because they're basically registering all the stock. It's not all tradable right now, but every shareholder now can trade their shares in the public market whenever the holdbacks are time periods are passed. Like Elon's is like 366 days. He can't sell anything. So he'll add no downward pressure as a big seller of shares. Now, some people that already own SpaceX shares, and valuable employees and so forth, they, when you first start out a company, they hand out shares because they really can't afford to hand out too much money. They're already paying you what they can afford to pay you. So they hand out these shares as incentives. Maybe it's a bonus for doing a good job this year or something like that. Anyway, so there's 10, 20, 30, 50, I don't know how many, hundreds of thousands of shares are out there in the hands of these small receivers of shares as like bonuses, like employees. That's my understanding anyway. So some of those people, their shares are not restricted at all because there's not a lot of shares. But you, at some point before the IPO, which like a couple of weeks ago, they'd send out a questionnaire to all the employees that actually received shares over the years, the 10, 12 years of this company, and which is a private company until Friday. Friday at 10 o'clock, it's a public company. Anyway, so you tell the CPAs, the accountants, the SpaceX accounting people, if you intend to sell any shares when the IPO becomes effective. And you say all, none, some, I'll put up 10,000 shares. I'll keep 40,000 of the 50,000 shares I have. I'm just making that up, Whatever, they fill out a questionnaire and they answer the questions. And because they want to know how many shares are available. Because they got a lot of people that want to buy them for $135 a share, I understand, might be the opening price. So you can do the math. At $135 a share, it's about $75 billion for the number of shares that are going to be granted by the company. This would not include shares of, Joe Schwartz, that's been an employee for 10 years. That's just a side transaction. That's not part of the structure of the IPO. Now, they send out a questionnaire to find out how many are going to be going into the market. Maybe, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. You make your intention if you intend to sell anything. Then they don't ask you at how much price or anything like that. Yeah. That you'll find out when you turn on your screen and see if you want to sell at the price it's trading at. That's the thing of an open market. There are more buyers than sellers. The stock generally tends to go higher. Now, that article I just showed you says there's 400%, 4x oversubscribed. That's vernacular for saying there's, if there are 100,000 shares out there, they're available. There's 400,000 shares worth of buyers out there that want the stock. So if that is a true statement, which, I have no reason to believe that it wouldn't be true, but I haven't done any investigations on that article. I just did a print screen of it. Let's take a look at the article. SpaceX's IPO is 4x oversubscribed. And there's a surprising reason that the number should scare IPO buyers. I don't know what that is. I don't have enough of the story to find out what that is. But the one thing about SpaceX, they own the Starlink satellite system. Every 4 or 5 days, Elon is launching another rocket like that, putting 20, 30, 40 satellites up in low orbit, to work phones. And I understand Apple has given permission. I don't know how I would see. I wouldn't see that. Let's see. Emergency SOS. I'm afraid to touch that. Yeah, see, now you can. You press and hold those two buttons at the same time. Call with 5 button presses. I don't have that on. Call quietly. This is a guy in here with a gun. Call after severe crash. I have that green lit, yeah. And then here's a list of all the people that they call in order. My wife, my son, my daughter, and another son. There you go. I fell down one time, or I dropped my watch on the floor, something. And the watch started to scream like emergency. I look at my watch, and of course, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see how to shut it up. So I started, just pushing fingers, and I push the come get me button. So it's going down the list, calling everybody, and then it immediately goes to the ET, what do you call those people? The ETM people, the ET, you know what I'm talking about, emergency, yeah. So then they got, Mr. Wilson, are you okay? I actually am okay, but I can't find my glasses, and I don't know how to tell you I'm okay. So then all my kids started calling me, and my wife, where are you? Are you okay? Why? 12 o'clock in the morning, how come this emergency is telling us that you're in a severe situation? I said, because I dropped my watch, and I thought I fell on the floor. So I'm reaching around trying to find the watch, and the emergency thing went off in the watch, and I don't have my glasses on, so I couldn't see what button to shut it up, to silence the alarm and to call it off. I'm fine. I pushed the wrong button, and everyone's on their way. And the ETM is beating on the door. No, they never got there. I stopped them before they got out of their own garage. Yeah, but that's that's a nice safety feature in the watch. But it's make sure your reading glasses are close by. All right. So here's SpaceX launching big heavy satellites. It's got 3 boosters, so there must be a very heavy payload inside those calipers, the shield that keeps the satellite exterior clean from all the blast off pistons and the high winds. When you get up in space and there's no winds, then I think they call them fairings. There's 2 fairings. They're stuck together, and they're big. It's like, and they're hollow because the satellites are inside that bulge, and the 2 fairings fall away once they're released, and then the satellite is exposed, and then it separates itself from the booster, and it has its own little rocket engines that put it up into the proper orbit. Yeah, it's a simple explanation of that. It's more complicated, of course, not being a satellite engineer, more of a chemical engineer kind of a person. Biochemical. I was all set to go to medical school. My fiance said, no medical school. I don't know who my dad is, and I don't want to have you as a stranger because you're in the hospital all the time, treating patients. Here's the new software for Mac, and they got games. You can use your Mac with a phone. They're supposedly going to have it so that it can make its own connection, into your, let's see, what is it? Oh, into your telephone system. See, this control system I have here with the MacBook Air, remember I showed you that? It's connected through our router and Wi-Fi, but I can't, I can do a hotspot. So it'll pick up my Wi-Fi signal. When you do a hotspot on your phone, you emit a Wi-Fi signal that then my MacBook can pick up, and it'll run off my phone. But I think they're actually going to have a SIM card, electronic SIM card capability in Macs sometime. So that's like chips, more chips. Because you need a set of chips that would work on transmitting and receiving signals from the modem, that frequency bandwidth, which I actually don't know what that frequency spectrum is. It gets assigned by the FCC. Now my phone has it, my iPads, this has it. I can see on the top of my iPad here, it shows that I got 4 bars, 3 restaurants. No, the bars that you see on your phone. Here's about. So if I look down here, it's a one terabyte of memory, and I got 226 gigabytes remaining out of a 1 terabyte total memory. I have 509 apps in here. I've got 116,000 photos. That's one of the reasons why I've chewed up 700 gigabytes of storage. But I also have a phone number. The cellular data number is the same as my cell number, which that's pretty interesting. So it's sharing my cell phone and it's got 4 bars worth of connectivity. I'm just showing you what it says. So there's no SIM card. They don't have the little opening anymore. Everything's electronic SIM. So the phone company has allowed this device to share the same line I have on my telephone, which that's curious, huh? I didn't think there was dual assignment was allowed. Could be. Used to be, then they turned it off. Now it's turned on again. iPad storage, not much. There it is. It also tells you how many megabytes or gigabytes you can restore if you get rid of duplicate pictures and stuff like that. I got probably 5 or 10 gigabytes worth of stuff that's duplicated. I have not executed the little routine. Do you want to clean this up and optimize it for stuff? Because I want to make sure that they're not going to be deleting stuff. Where they delete the one file and then the other file won't open or something. I get a little. To pick up like 1/2 of 1% of storage. Screw it. Just leave it on there. Okay. Web 360 Safe Web. I have a little message about that on my. Remember the message thing? Let's go there. I'll show you. We're going to go down here to. Oh, wait a minute. I need to get my photo. There we go. Oh, here it is. Oops, there we go. I got too many things, too many bigger things on here. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So, it's that button right there. Yeah, so I want to go to podcast images. Here we go. Here's my new edition. It was updated today. And the update here was not changing any language. I just put in italic, like on number 3, a bottom line. Do not wager money on risky gambling or too good to be true schemes like trying to win the lottery. Even though I'm going to show you statistics about the lottery, we're not promoting lottery. See, that's number 3. And I put italics on some of that just to bring attention to it. And there's number 4 The takeaway is you may lose all or some of your personal data, your money, your cash, your equity, or your invested capital anytime you connect to the internet. There are hackers that if they're looking for you, they can grab whatever you got associated with that iPad, iPhone, or computer that you have connected to the internet. Because the internet is like having a driveway that goes out into the streets. And all the streets and all that is the internet. I'm making this up. And then you have a driveway. That means you're connecting to the internet. But what do you have? You got a garage door. So what you want to do is make sure that garage door is locked really good. And that's usually has something to do with your password. So if you have a password, that's password, PASSWORD, then you're a moron. And you know what? The DNC, the Democratic National Committee, had a big computer system with offices all over the country trying to win the presidency of the United States. The Democratic National Committee was coordinating the advertising of their candidate for president, let's say Biden, for example. And the password to get into that system was password. Someone broke into one of the DNC offices and grabbed a server or something or other. And the news media was questioning one of the officials. And they said, did you have a secret password for these servers? Yeah, the password was password. The IT guy looks at him and says, are you kidding me? Are you people crazy? We got a $10 million system here, and the password is password. Oh, God. Or, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No. Excuse me, I just had a little sip of my stale ice water coming out of the ice cubes that are melting because the soda has been long gone. Anyway, so that's why my disclosures and disclaimers in italics, it says, the author does not hold any financial positions and it doesn't recommend it, except as disclosed to the contrary, such as, if I happen to have a stock or a bond portfolio, I have an iPhone. I'm not promoting anything with Apple. I could, but I'm not. So that's my thing. I'm not promoting iPhones or Apple watches. I mentioned my watch. Or I'm not, iPads. I got an iPad right here. If they had Mac underwear, I'd be wearing it. I am Apple up the gazoo. My son Daniel, when he was like 12 or 13, he says, Dad, please don't buy any more Windows. Can you please get me a Mac computer? I don't want a Windows computer. The schools have Apple computers, and I don't know how to do both of them. Yeah, he's crying about it. I went to Maryland. I says, all right, Maryland, there's going to be new rules around here. For Christmas, everybody gets a MacBook laptop. We're changing from Windows forever. I'm like a Windows guy for 25 years. Now I got to switch to Mac. It was Mac does things differently than Windows. But they work better. And they get hacked less, I'm told. I am licensed in Florida. There's my DP, the Department of Business and Professional Regulation, also known as DBPR. And there's my license number, which is in the public record, 0530756. Yep. Licensed to James Wilson. And there's, I'm currently licensed. I got a 97 on my final exam. And I'm good until 3/31/2028. Yeah. I am a sole proprietor. I don't have like a, Bayshore. It used to be Bayshore 14C Limited. I got rid of that and I just went to my own name. You know why? Because I didn't want to spend another $150 to the Secretary of State to have a registered LLC, Limited Liability Company. Because that's another thing you got to do, with all this licensing crap. So I figured, the hell with it. I'm going to collapse the LLC, and it's just going to be a broker in my name, and that's... So I changed that up when I think my CPA was still alive. He passed away. I think he was still alive when I collapsed that. So that was one less tax return I would have to do, That was another couple $100, Yeah. So my broker license is in my own name. You can look it up. You can go to DBPR, put my name in there, and it will say I have in my county, which is Palm Beach County, and anything else you know about me, my hat size, my phone number, and it'll find me and show you if I have any outstanding complaints or anything, which I don't. And anyway, this is my official notice for disclaimers, disclosures, streams, warnings, notices, and cautions. And then there it is. Social networks for J.L. Wilson. The @ FAU4U. I've been adjunct faculty there for 23 years. My email address, 416.1100@gmail.com. I have an AT&T iPhone, 561-416-1100. I am generally located in Boca Raton, Florida, 8 stories above the Chops restaurant, if anyone knows about Chops. Fine dining, Royal Palm Place, yeah. So here's my images that I have in the my little bucket of discussion today. Not that these are the only images, but I just wanted to highlight that because I made a change, and actually it's just making some of the a sentence in 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, highlighting some of the sentences in the middle of those paragraphs, bring it a little more emphasis. Pepper albums. Gonna go to favorites. There we go. Anyway, so last night's drawing for Mega Millions, these are the balls. So I do a print screen, and there they are. I put them right in there. I actually didn't know when I first put this spreadsheet together. I was typing the numbers in. I typed 9 and 30 and 30, on the keyboard. And I said, I don't like doing that because what if I make it 63 instead of 36? Typo. Well, you don't want to be showing this out in the world. God knows who's looking at it, right? And maybe depending on it. So the safest thing to do is the lottery has a website, which I go to. Remember, I'm not promoting any of this. This is just data. I'll just type FL. There we go. There's a logo of all the Florida lotteries and an opening screen. There's Mega Millions. It's 413 million for the next drawing on June 12th in 2 days. And then it shows you what happened on the 9th. See, 9, 30, 36, So now we can go to here. 9, 30, 36, 36. So that's where I got it from. I got it right here. There we go. We just get rid of that. Come back to my photos. Yeah, so that's how that data gets. So anyway, so from here, I stripped out, when you look at winning numbers, there's a whole section in that website that shows all the winning numbers going back like a year. If you found a 5-month-old, anything over 6 months old, the ticket is dead. And those tickets are only good for 180 days, even if it's a grand prize. Can you imagine you won the $400 million lottery and you showed up 181 days after the drawing date, and the lottery official says, "I'm sorry, sir, but this ticket is invalid." Yeah, the ticket just dies. So you can't get your money until 15 days from the draw date. It takes them 15 days to get their act together and get all their financial accounting in order to actually determine what the grand prize is, because that $413 million is an estimate, of course. That's their number. That's their estimate. So then I have gone through all the lotteries and determined that the jackpot lump sum, if you choose to do a lump sum, is roughly 45 point something percent of that number. So I just show the 45, but there's a point, it's 246 or 24, I forget what the 3 decimal place is on the division. And I multiply, the Florida estimate for the jackpot to a single winner, and I multiply that by the 45%, you end up with 186 million, which is, that's an estimate of an estimate. How about that? That's estimate squared. Yeah. So, this is not official anything. Now, it takes them 2 weeks to get off the estimate into reality, because they have to go into so what is this 186 million? That is the net present value. What is the net present value of those 30 payments they're going to make, which starts off at $6,200,000, and then that grows to 5%. And I guess that's it. I just show there's one, and there's the one with the 5% even more. And so there's 30 rows going out for the whole 30 payments. Now that's $6.2 million. The winner would get that day one. 2 weeks, 15 days from the draw date. That's the official line on that. Now this is an equation that I took 2 weeks to scrounge up, but it's based on the net present value of these 30 payments. So you have to calculate what the 30 payments would be. The first one is $6.2 million. That was the hard one to calculate. And then that's 105% of that. And the next one would be 105% of that. So that's the math that's going all the way across that way. Remember, I was showing you how to do the spreadsheet this is just for the fun of it. I can see right here, the drawing has happened 24 times and no one's won. So on June 12th, that would be the 25th try. There's another winner that happened last year, and this, I think, went up to like 28 or 29 before someone won. Got up to over almost $500 million, more than $500 million. Can you imagine? But when you do the net present value of 30 payments to pay out, this $413 million, what's the net present value? It should be $186 million, plus or minus $1 million. What's $1 million among friends? Come on. But that is, the mathematical answer to the question is, what is the net present value of these 30 payments? And the first payment we calculated at Reverse pitch here. 6 million too. And it's rounded to the nearest 100,000, because it's like an estimate of an estimate and a calculation. So we're really getting off into fantasy land here, but, we're just playing around with the math. If someone wins, all this information will become public, and then we can see how they calculated it. And that's what I look at, just being a math guy. How do they actually calculate the net present value? I calculated. Let's see what their calculation is. Anyway, so if you were to be the single winner of a $413 million jackpot, we estimate, just not connected up in here, top here, it says notes and comments, lump sum payouts, schedules, payouts after tax, before tax. Any of the values are estimated and produced by the author, Jimmy Wilson. That's me. Yeah. And I have nothing to do, displayed for illustration and educational purposes only. We do not encourage any form of gambling, betting, or other get-rich-fast schemes. The data presented here have not been confirmed by any lottery, have not been endorsed by any other enterprise whatsoever. We encourage all viewers to consult with their professional financial for such advice. Yeah. And the only advice I'm giving is don't do it. So we're just playing with the math to see, well, what would happen if someone did with this? Well, we estimate that the net present value of the future cash flows is about $186 million. So on line 1H of your tax return, can you imagine you have to put $186 million dollar number on your TurboTax thing? Even though you don't actually get that, that's what has to go in your tax return, or some number, whatever the real number is, when you go up to Lottery Central and collect your check. Oh, God. They actually make a deposit into your account. You have to give them your account number and your routing number, and, like it's a payroll check. They do an ACH and bam, it hits your branch. You want to give your branch notice in advance. Say, oh, by the way, there's about 142 million going to show up tomorrow. That would be like, holy, that would be, they wouldn't forget it, that's for sure. But the truth is, that's what would go on this is what would go on your tax return. You don't actually get that money. Or you don't get whoops, I said the wrong thing. You don't get the 186 million. You just get 142 million, poor baby. The difference there is, like 44 million. Where does that go? Well, that's the 24% withholding tax. Oh yeah, the long arm of Uncle Sam takes out 42 million and puts that as your withholding portion of your tax. You're likely going to be in the 37% tax bracket. So they're taking 24 of the 37% right away. So so you're down to 142 million now. Now the other thing you got to remember is you're going to have to pay the other 13% tax when you actually do your tax return. So there's another 24 million that's going to disappear April when you do your TurboTax return. So when all that's done, we estimate the estimate of the estimate. It's going to be about 117 million. That's going to end up in your TD Bank account after the withholding and after 24 million. The reason why I've made a separate column there because you better put that in a side pocket, because they're going to credit your account with 142 million, because that's after the withholding. We're assuming you live in Florida. There's no state tax. If you were New Jersey or a New York person, or you have like a 12 or 13% income tax, There is no income tax in Florida, but there is in New York, for example. It's big. It's over 10%. 10, 11, 12. It's, so it's, it's like a number. It's like a $20 million hit, or something like that. So, but in the case of someone living in Florida, the only other tax you'd pay on this money is the other 13%. See how I have that column? Less the remaining 30%. Your federal income tax would likely be 30. I would say if you earned $186 million one year, that would be in the maximum tax bracket. That's the guess I'm coming up with, and I'm not a tax guy, but there are not too many people with $186 million on line 1 of your tax return. So you're probably in the 37% tax bracket. That's so you got to pay the other 13%. So you want to make sure you don't give that away somewhere, because next April there's going to be some tax guy at your door, if you haven't credited them, say, by the way, Jack, you owe us another $24 million. Do you know that? We think. Let's sit down to have coffee. Guy's got a gun on his, these federal agents, they carry guns, I'm told. Even IRS guys, it says it in their employment thing, you have to be able to carry a weapon. Apparently some people threatened the tax guy. Oh, God. Anyway, but after all this, Mickey Mouse, you would still end up with, $117 million. That's a lot of cash. You keep some, you give some away, You got kids, you gotta, everybody gets a little something. Make a list. And then have a party at the Boca Hotel. Say, all right, we're going to have a check party. We're going to hand out money right after dinner. We don't want anyone to get an upset stomach before dinner. So after dinner, and after desserts, and after coffee, we're going to whip out the checkbook and hand out the checks for all you relatives that have showed up for this marvelous dinner that is all paid for. And then you start dividing up, Marilyn and I would actually go, if we were the crazy people that would win such a thing, we'd write everything down in advance, so all this would be figured out. But I think we'd make everybody show up to get their check. And they get a free, they get a free meal. We'd put them up in the hotel. They could stay for the weekend, whatever. What the heck? You won that kind of money, so it cost you a couple of million to hand out the money, or whatever. This is all mental gymnastics. It's good. It's good to play. Just don't do it, because it's money in the toilet. Yeah. The winning odds is 290 million to 1. It's not like the flip of a coin, like it'd be 50-50. No, it's 290 million against you. So, as a matter of fact, from my readings of the lightning, I did a project when I was in high school on lightning, or in college on lightning, and what kind of objects it strikes and what it doesn't strike, and shiny surfaces, blunt surfaces, and your chances of getting hit by lightning. I read somewhere, and when I was doing all this research, that it was like 600,000 or 700,000 to 1 shot you get struck by lightning. 600,000 to 1 shot. The lottery odds here is 200, 300 million to 1. You get struck by lightning 7 times before you're going to win this lottery. So, don't even bother. I'm just playing mathematical gymnastics here to show you what the spreadsheets would look like if someone was to track this. And I just happen to be tracking it just for the hell of it. So what happens on June 12th? it either rolls over, see, roll over, or someone wins it. Yeah. It ain't going to be me. I ain't going to win. I'm not doing it for my benefit. We're just playing mental gymnastics here. These numbers, the first 5 numbers, there's 70 like ping pong balls, and they have numbers painted on them, 1 through 70. So they pick out number 9, so now there's 69 balls left, and they pick up another one, and the thing rolls down a little, and then number 30, not necessarily in this order, but that's they publish them in numerical order, but they don't necessarily come out of the machine. They do not come out of the machine in numerical order. They come out in whatever order they get picked at. They come through some little portal, and the first one might have been 40, and the next one might have been 9. It's all, these numbers are all jumbled up, but it's 1 through 70. And then this yellow ball is the Mega Millions ball, if you will. Not the Powerball, because that would be Powerball. This is the Mega Millions ball, yellow. So they have a bunch of yellow ping pong balls with numbers on it, 1 through 24. It's a separate machine. 24 of them over here. And then this machine over here has 1 through 70. So the machine on the right is the Mega Millions ball machine, where it has, looks like the identical machine, but it only has 24 balls in it. They're all yellow, and it's 1 through 24. Yeah. So it comes out of it, and the Mega Millions ball for Tuesday's drawing was number 3. Anyway, to have all these numbers come up on your ticket is a 290 million to 1 shot that you will not win. I don't know how else to say it, but don't count on it. That's it. I don't even type the numbers. I pick it off. I showed you that website. Where the hell was it? Just type FL and it comes up. FL. There it is. And then if you see right over here with the 3 bars up in the, darn it. I gotta shrink this up so you can see the whole thing. There you go. I push the thing that says winning numbers. And then here's all the different, look at all these different lotteries Florida has. This is Florida Mega Millions. That's the only one I'm tracking for the hell of it.
It's 12:15.
Yeah, see this right here? 9/30/36. That's, I'm doing a print screen of that. I'll just show you right here. Print screen. And I just grab these numbers just like that. Bingo. Tuesday, June 9th. That was the $392 million jackpot that no one won. Why? Because it's a 290 million to 1 shot that no one's going to have that. And guess what? No one did. So it rolled over. But you see the numbers in the circles. I do the print screen of that. And I have found out by trial and error, because I was actually typing it when I first put the spreadsheet together, and I said, I don't like typing, I might make a mistake. So I do a print screen of that, there it is, and trim it down, and I do a cut and paste. What do you call it? Copy and paste. So now I'm going to go to the spreadsheet, numbers. So here's the spreadsheet. I touch that. Loading it, and there it is. So see each one of these, see, it's a picture. I mean, I can move it out of there. So now it's there instead of there. So I just touch it and bring it back where it belongs. That's it. Now you can cut and paste it. So here, I put it here. Whoops. This is my spreadsheet. I don't want to louse it up. All right, so there you go. So now it's highlighted in the blue box. So I can hit Command C, which is copy, and then touch my finger to that box and hit Command V, which is paste. There it is. So I have it there and there. So I'll go back to here and then touch it and cut it. Now it's gone. And this is, back to the way it was. But anyway, I'm a lot, even though it's a little extra effort, and you have to cut and paste and you have to trim it to the right size, the top and the bottom are exactly above the circle as it is. It's getting too confusing. This right here. This is the actual one that I pasted into the spreadsheet. But you see the distance of the white between the bottom of that 36 is approximately equal to the amount of white that's between the balls. So when I'm changing the shape of this and cutting off the extra white, you see the amount of white between the top edge and the top of the ball 36 is about the same amount of white as on the sides and below. So if I cut, just one number, it would have the same amount of white all the way around. That way, when you paste it into the spreadsheet, they're all relatively similar in shape. And you can see some of them are a little more faint, like the 3. So it's not a perfect world when you're dealing with these photos. But it's safer than typing. When you're showing numbers to the public, I don't want to have it. So I don't want to take the chance of a typo. So I just copy, cut, and paste. Even if you read all this stuff with the Florida lottery, they're saying anything that we show you, we don't even know if it's right or not. It's in some kind of a legal schmeagle verbal, but when you look at the fine print of the lottery, like that, this program right here, if you go to the notes in the back somewhere, it says we're not responsible for anything. We're estimating what is that, but they're covering their fanny in every possible direction, which I'm basically doing the same thing with you. Since they're not relying on their numbers, why the hell should we? And we don't. And we recommend you don't do any of this. We're just playing mental gymnastics is what I call it. There's our new disclaimers, which is important. Read that at your convenience. It's simulcast with YouTube and Facebook, but Facebook is not working. I have to figure out what's going on there. It says, the software that's delivering this into the internet. I've been talking here for 1 hour and 29 minutes. This clock right up here is the elapsed time. This over here is the actual time, 12:21:03. Yeah, 12:21:04, 05, 06. Digital. Down here in green is another verification of what the hell time of day it is. 12:21 a.m. It's Thursday morning. Wow. It was Wednesday when I started this conversation. Yeah. It's amazing when you have a late night show. Yeah. Reverse back. Yeah, see my introductory. There it is. Wednesday. It was Wednesday, and now it's Now it's Thursday. There you go. In my release notes, I have a Tesla car, and they just sent me release notes on what's going on with the new software that just came out, 14.3.3. See that on the very top? Yeah. They call it full self-driving, supervised, which means you got to be watching what's going on, because if you get in a car wreck, it's your fault. Even though this is supposed to be full self-driving. They had another term which they don't use anymore. It's called autopilot. They don't seem to have autopilot anymore. I don't know how to think about how you engage. They have like a cruise control. There is a cruise control. So if you don't have the full self-driving application loaded in the car, which it used to cost $15,000, then you decide, we're going to charge $100 a month. No one can buy the package anymore. Just pay us $100 a month and we'll call it a day. And they, every 2 or 3 weeks, they enhance the software according to what you can read here on these panels. And the 3D geometry, you got to be a coder, to understand half of the stuff. Improved traffic light handling at complex intersections with compound lights, curved roads, yellow light stopping. Driven by training on hard RL examples sourced from the Tesla fleet. One unique thing about a Tesla car is it has its own data line. Like we have data lines in our phone, we have data lines maybe in our iPads. Well, the car has its own data line. And it's connected to the internet through its data. It's actually a cell number, in a sense, associated with the car. I don't know what that number is. The Tesla people know. And they can, with the Tesla app, which I can execute right here. Here's the Tesla app. So it shows on the top there that there's 202 miles of range in the battery. So we can drive a couple hundred miles and then we're out of juice. And that means you got to plug in somewhere. So when you're on your way, there's a map that you can you push a button on the screen, and it shows you all the supercharging stations within 5 or 10 miles of where your car is. You don't have to drive very far to find a fuel station. We don't want to call it a gas station because there's no gas. It's no isooctane. No, only electrons. It's hard to get a bucket of electrons, so you don't want to run out. Yeah, no. So we can see, and that was another software update. See, software update. So that means next weekend, in a couple of days, I've got to get out of the parking garage and link up my phone with the car so that I can get the update loaded into the car's computer. Yeah. That's a tedious little thing to do, but you just turn your hotspot on with your phone. You go to your settings screen and turn on the hotspot. That's all. And then the car sees your router, and you just link the car to the router in your phone. And it puts, the software comes down through the phone and into the car because it's you've connected it. You've connected electronically your phone to the car's computer. Yeah. So the signal comes down through your phone into the car's computer until the entire software update has been put into the car. Then, when you're done, that's done, when you park your car, it says, when do you want to execute the program to install your new software? And you give it a time. If you're parked in your garage, you can just say, now, and then a 2-minute timer comes up. You better get out of your car in the next 2 minutes because it's going to be out of commission for 55 minutes while the new software is installed. That's how I have to deal with it. If you lived in a house and you had a router, if you had the Wi-Fi signal throughout the whole house, including the garage, you wouldn't need to do the step I'm doing with the phone. You would just connect to, your internet, your Wi-Fi. It would be connected to you connect the car to your Wi-Fi with the passwords already preloaded, so the software will automatically download just because you're in the garage. But when you live in a multifamily building like we do, where there's 200 other families in here, they don't provide Wi-Fi. They don't give you Wi-Fi signal in the garage. And, so I provide my own Wi-Fi signal through my phone. Okay, view. So, let's press charging since we're looking. So I'm not charging the car right now. I limited it to only charging up to 89% of the battery because they don't want you charging it at 100% every day. If you're going on a trip, fine, load it up all the way. But they recommend, actually, they've dropped it to 80%. Just charge 80%. And then, your 50 or 60 or 70 miles you drive in a day, it'll bring you down to, like 40%. And you plug it in overnight and it charges it back up to 80%. It goes back and forth. You don't want it to get below 10%. And they prefer you don't charge it over 80. I go to 89, figured, what the heck. I paid for the sucker, I'm going to charge it a little bit more. And it gives you another 20 miles, big deal. Or 18 miles. So find chargers, you hit that and it shows you all the chargers. Look at them, they're all over the place. I mean, every 5 or 10 miles there's one. There's a bunch of them up here. There's Jupiter. When you get, up, you might have to go 20 miles to find one. If you happen to live right smack there, according to this chart. There are 15 stalls. There are 15 available bays in this charging thing. It's probably ready to put one in the Jupiter area. Here's the Port St. Lucie. They estimate on who needs what. As you get down into the busier part of South Florida, you can see there's a whole bunch more because of the density of the population. The blue dot is us. So, I can tell you, this Deerfield, that's like 2.5 miles away. And here's Maryland Works right up in here, and there are 19 charges available. No, Maryland's out here, the number 9. There's 12 spots, there are 9 open. And she's 4 miles away. But that charging thing, her bank building is right where the A is in Glades Plaza. The charging thing is less than a mile in the mall parking lot. On the second floor, one of these garages says 12 Tesla charging things in the shade. Anyway, that's how you find out where the charges are, which is nothing. We happen to have a plug right next to our spot right in the parking garage here. Got lucky. You can set a charging schedule, which we do not have. We don't do it on a schedule. We just plug it in every night. We didn't do it tonight because I think Marilyn had to go to the bathroom. We don't want to spend the time. You got low power mode to make sure nothing's on in the car, like if you were going to park it in a like an airport parking garage and you're away from the car for a week, you shut it down in low power mode so you're not running courtesy lights and different things that don't need to be running when you're away from the car for a week, for example. Or if it's in your garage, your personal garage, and you're going to be out of town for a month, put the car in low power mode. That's what this little sign would say right there. This is the things that get shut off. The overheat protection, all these different things that you may have activated. Otherwise, it will be turned off. And here's a switch where it says keep stuff on. It is like charge ports. Well, let's say if you're trying to charge your iPad or something or other and it's not quite fully charged, you have that switch on. Turns green or blue. So that when you have things plugged into those accessory things, they'll stay on even though you leave the car. We don't have such thing going on, so that's off. I don't want low power mode, and I don't want to have stuff on all the time either. So here's the last charging session that we had at one of the superchargers. Cost us $11.54 to fill it up 3/4 of the way. Here's the details of it's 31 minutes. Fill the tank up, the fuel tank. I like to use those words instead of gas tank because it ain't gas. So we just call it a fuel tank. Why not? I don't like to call it battery because then it gets people buzzy because they don't associate a battery with a car unless it's a toy. There you go. So here it shows you exactly where the charger was. Canoe Creek Service Plaza in the Turnpike, in the middle between the north and southbound lanes or something. Yeah. Went to Orlando. Went to Disney, actually. So, a little more than halfway up, we just topped off the fuel tank. So it keeps track of all this stuff. It also keeps track of, not in this app, but in the display, it shows you on the display somewhere how many miles you've driven using the full self-driving, supervised. How many times have you done that? How many miles worth of driving? You know why? Because they're offering insurance now. Tesla is. There's a person in the living room, and my watch just came up with a little note. It's probably a cat running around. Yeah. But Marilyn wouldn't be running around. She's sleeping. Yeah, so they want you to use full self-driving because it's 7 times safer than the average human driver. So their insurance, after about 90 days, is going to start offering you a discount on your policy. And it's basically going to say, since you have used full self-driving for roughly 50% of the total miles you've driven this month, we're going to give you a 25% reduction in your premium. And they charge you 25% less. So it was a $400 premium, they're only going to charge you $300. And if you use the full self-driving for, let's say, 100% of all your driving, they're going to reduce your premium by 50%. Now that's an incentive to use the full self-driving. In other words, you just put the address of where you want to go and hit start. The car will take you there. You don't have to unpark it. You don't have to touch the steering wheel. You don't have to touch the brake pedals. You just have to have face forward and watch what's going on. But you don't have to touch the thing. You can have your hands in your lap. With your seatbelt on and all that kind of stuff. But you don't touch the steering wheel. I mean, the steering wheel will be driving itself. So you loosen up your hands so if you grip it tight, it'll break loose, and then you're driving, and the full self-driving will not be active. And that's going to ask you 4 little questions. This is because you're uncomfortable, it's going too fast, going too slow. There's like 4 answers. You just press one of the answers because they want to know why you disengaged. Anyway, so you just put the address where you want to go. You want to go to lunch to Houston's? Type in Houston's. It'll show you on the map where it is. Make sure you're going to the right Houston's. And you press start, and it takes you there. You don't have to do a damn thing. It's fully robotic. Totally. It's every Tesla car made is totally robotic. There's like 6 million on the road right now. And I'll bet you half the people that have it don't even know that. Just, they're low informed. I mean, it's almost like with elections, people don't know why they're voting certain ways. Well, here's a Tesla car. They don't understand the technology that's in the car. It hasn't been explained to them. But every car made after 2001, March of 2001, has hardware version 4, which has all the advanced computer and has the advanced camera, 5 million pixel cameras all the way around, 7 of them. And totally a vision system with cameras. No LiDAR, no radar. You don't need it. In Tesla's view, and the view of the software coders, we've been driving a car with eyes. Ever since they made cars 100 years ago, you use your eyes. Well, we have 7 cameras pointing in 7 different directions, or 4 different directions, I should say, with overlapping wide-angle lenses. And it cycles 35 times a second. It's like looking in every direction 35 times a second, which you couldn't do without getting a severe headache. Your head would be spinning like a top. But the cameras are looking in 7 different directions 35 times a second, and feeding that information into a computer, and the computer sorts through all this digital data and sees everything moving around, and it gives you an animation on your screen. It's really quite spectacular. And you just put the address where you want to go and push start. Takes you there. Perfect driving. Keeps it within the speed limit. Stops at all the stop signs. It puts on the turning signals. If there's a car slow in front of you, if it's possible and you're not crossing a double yellow line, for example, let's say there isn't, it won't pass if there's a double line facing it. But if it's a dotted line, where you're allowed, you have enough lanes to pass, it looks, and says, okay, it's time to pass, and it just does it. It uses the signal, it passes the slow car in front of you, goes back into the proper lane, the signal goes off. It's quite unbelievable. There was a time when when I was a young kid, which is, we're talking 80 years ago, right? When you go into a hotel, they had a hotel elevator, and they had an elevator operator. And you go in the elevator, you'd pull over a gate, and you'd mention the elevator, take me to floor number 10, please. And he'd have his little control panel, and he'd push a number 10 button, and then he'd pull the gate closed, and he'd start the motors, and the elevator would go up to floor number 10, and then he'd pull open the gate, and then the doors would open to the floor, and you'd walk out of the elevator onto the 10th floor. And they had an elevator operator. And if it came up and the floor wasn't quite aligned, he'd have to step it up a couple times and get it to the perfect line. And they had literally a driver for every elevator in every building. That had an elevator. So you're up to the 20th floor in some building in Manhattan. There was an elevator operator that would take you to any floor you needed to go to. But he would steer the elevator to get the level so that the elevator was at the same level as the floor plate, so you wouldn't trip over something, the edge of the floor plate. And they had a driver. Now today, it's totally automated. You don't have an elevator operator. You just push buttons. You say, I want to go to the 39th floor. You just push button 39. The computer in the elevator does everything for you. Usually. Everyone wants to know how you get stuck in an elevator. I've never been stuck in an elevator, but you see it in the movies. Power goes off and all of a sudden you're stuck. You shouldn't, elevator should be connected to an automatic electric generator, so you never get stuck because the utility goes down, because every elevator that has more than 3 floors must have an immediate electric generator come on to protect anyone that's in the cabin. It'll go to the next floor and then open up. On battery power, it won't, go up and down like normal use. Generally, maybe some of the bigger modern buildings, you can get up and down an elevator even, in a fire. This building, which has 9 floors, if the fire alarm goes off, you can't use the elevators. You got to use the stairwells, or stay put, as they say. Yeah. All right. So that's. I think I've run out of things to talk about. What do you think? It's 12:43 a.m. I've talked for 1 hour and 52 minutes. I have a couple of text messages here I get, in which I answer those questions. You wonder how come I move around in conversations. Oops, close out the photo. Oh, here's my Tesla app. Yeah. And we go back to here and see if there's anything else. Yeah, we got pages. We don't want to have that. That's where I edited the text to put it some italic. I'll show you this app. This is a good app. It's called Flipboard. A good friend of mine, a business associate, I should say, a highly regarded restaurateur, who I introduced to a couple of clients of mine in the bank that owned restaurants. And I said, Tony, if you ever have troubleshooting in your restaurant and need some advice, Tony Figarelli, that's his name, Tony Figarelli. I think he lives in Hawaii now. Tony the Fig. He can help you troubleshoot your restaurant. He'll charge you a fee, whatever. You'll arrange that all by yourself. But let me introduce you to Tony Fig. Let's have lunch. And then you can decide if you would like to engage him to start your new restaurant or to troubleshoot your kitchen. He was a back of the house kind of a guy. Actually, anything, front, waitering. He does the whole restaurant package, everything. He's experienced in front and back. But I remember seeing him one time actually in the back helping the new chef cook certain dishes in a restaurant that he helped open for a client for a fee. Yeah. Well, he's doing that. He was doing that. He moved all over the country doing that for people that were opening restaurants. He gets referred to here and there. And he ended up in Hawaii, for God's sakes, and he's still there right now. I could look him up on Facebook and see. Let's try. Let's see if I can show you that. I have to just pull down in the middle and just type FAC. There we go, Facebook. Open up the app. It should, there we go. You can see me in the top middle there. And we're going to try to find, I'm not really that good at doing stuff like this. Let's just type in what's on your mind. Tony Fig. TonyFigerelli. Figarelli. Let's try it. Let's Figarelli. Don't know how to spell his name. Let's do that and see what happens. Where is Tony Fig? Let's just put Fig. I know he uses that abbreviation often because people don't know how to spell his name like me. And now what do? Is there a send button or something? Oh, gosh. That's the problem. I don't know how to do these. I know how to make create a post. All right, let's do that. I don't know. No, that ain't it. Save to discard. Let's do this way. Let's just do a search. TNYFIG. Oh, look, it came up with a spelling. Formerly Old Town Tavern. That's him. There's phone numbers. There's T. Figarelli, Furgelli, yeah. Facebook, Tony Fig. Let's go there. There he is. Friends with Rappaport, Johnny Mazza. It looks like he's in Las Vegas, Nevada now. Let's see if we can send him a message, yeah. Sure how to do that. I guess I'll go down the bottom. Hi, Tony. I'm live on youtube.com/. @sign FAU for you. You guys know that, right? That's me. Hi, Tony. I'm live on Facebook. It's a couple hours earlier, where the hell he is. There you go. See, I just touched my own link. And there it is. Subscribe, but I want to subscribe to myself. Can I do that? Yeah, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I'm up to episode 603. 3 days ago. Playlists. You see Epidemic Sound. It's royalty free. That's my background music you hear in the background there. There's the videos. Look at that. There's a whole bunch of them. I don't have shorts. There's home. I go home every once in a while. This is right here. This is... I don't think you can do live of the live, which is what... I have 60 subscribers. I've had 49,210 visitors. Phew. It's crazy. Just listen to old Jimbo. Yickety-yak here. Alright, well I'm gonna... Anyway, so I just wanted to show you... Did we? Yeah, we did Tony Fig, didn't we? Yeah, there he is. This is profile, nickname profile. It said Tony Fig. Here, let's take a picture. Let's see his picture. Can we get a bigger picture? Profile. In a relationship with pizza. Always. He's got 776 friends. 2 mutual with me. You know. Yeah, I'm a friend, so I would have to push that to unfriend, which I don't want to do. He's in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's single. He has kids, or I know he has a boy at least. I've seen or met him. There's Burt Rappaport. I have. If I look at my own, let's see. How do we get to Jimmy? Let's just look at this. See if I can see. Not too sure what Boomerang is. These are a bunch of pictures I've posted. I don't want to do what's on my mind. Yeah, there we go. So I have 1,300. I got 1,300 followers. I'm following. You can see this, right? Yeah, 345 following, and I've had 9,000. I've created 9,400 posts. Now on YouTube, I'm up to 600 and something, but I've got over 9,000 posts that I've had since I've had Facebook. I don't know how that ranks up with. There we go. Marilyn Murray has 7 new, whatever that is. Lou Donahue. These are friends I'm supposed to know. Some people I know, and some there's Bill Morris. Hey Bill, I just sent him a hi. There's an updated picture of Bill. Let's save the photo. Yeah. See, there's the June 3rd it posted. There's the June 3rd broadcast. See right there with the little tape going across. 56 viewers. So this is Wednesday, June 3rd. See that on the screen? And I push play, I guess, and it's playing. Yeah, I got a little. Yeah, there's a ticker tape going up on the top. All right, we'll get out of that. We don't want to. Facebook has been able to access your entire photo library for 6 months. Do you want to continue that? Yeah, we're going to allow full access, yeah. Which means I can send any picture. There. There we go. Okay, so we shouted out a hi to Tony Fig. Sent on my YouTube thing. Yeah, we're live. Okay, Tony Fig, I hope you're having a good day in Las Vegas. You got out of Hawaii. Oh, your direct flight. Anyway, he told me, the reason why I came up with his name is he said, Jimmy, I have found an app that you will just love. He knows I'm a technology guy, banker. Friend of his referred him, learned about him through people that own restaurants, wealthy people that were clients of mine, and I met him somewhere and recommended him to Old Town Tavern to fix it up. And I couldn't get McAllister to hire him. Or maybe he did hire him for a while. And then Tony Fig went on to work on some other restaurant in Boca Raton. And then I tried to get McAllister to hire Burt Rappaport, who's an outstanding restaurateur in South Florida. Now he's since kind of retired. So I imagine he'd take a good job if it was a good, well-paying one. An assignment, I should say. And, we worked out a deal and had a contract, and he says, well, I want him working on my deal all the time. I said, well, that's not the way it happens. He's got 3 or 4 restaurants he's managing, and you're going to be one of the 4. I said, how many real estate projects you working on? Well, 3 or 4. I said, well, your partners don't say you got to be in that building 24/7. You got 3 or 4 buildings, they're going to get 1/3 of your life. You know. Well, he does the same thing. He's got 3 or 4 restaurants, and you're going to be one of his. And you know, well, it's not him. I said, well, that's, then you're not going to hire. You know. You know, that's kind of like a ridiculous position to take, but and he basically ran the restaurant into the ground. He basically killed it because he didn't know what the hell he was doing, and he wouldn't hire someone that knew how to do it because Bert would have fixed it up. You know, he would have run it properly. He would have because he owned a number of restaurants, and he's been in the restaurant touring business for, you know, all the time I've known him. For 30 years. And I couldn't get McAllister to hire him. Had to be 100% on his. I said, you're not hiring a manager to sit in the place. You know, you're going to have a chef to do that. You're going to have a front of the house manager to deal with the, you know, training the people. But he's going to oversee all that. But not every day, all day. You're going to get 1/4 of his 18-hour day. You know, it could be morning, noon, or night, depending on what he thinks the restaurant needs. And he'll keep floating around. He might visit all 4 restaurants in one day, you know, just driving around between the 4 of them. Or 5 of them, or whatever number of restaurant contracts he's got. He doesn't spread them out. He doesn't spread himself out too thin because he's got an outstanding reputation, and he doesn't have failures. You know, he doesn't know the word. Yeah. So anyway, Flipboard. Getting back to Tony Fig. So Fig's in the restaurant business, and he told me about this app. It's called Flipboard. You should have it. It has a logo that looks just like that F down there. I'm going to go to my app store, and up in the very top next to arcade is a magnifying glass. We're going to type in there FLIPBOARD. And you see it right in the top? Can you see it? Yes. Let me just shrink this up a little bit so we make sure you can see it. I can see it. There we go. Flipboard. I'm going to touch Flipboard. And the second one here is open. But I'm just going to press that button because I want to show you how it advertises itself to anyone that goes here.
It's 1 o'clock.
It shows you it's been operating for 18 years. I've got a overall rating of 4.7. It's in English, 10 more languages also. The developer's Flipboard Inc. It's 105 megabytes in the file size for the application itself. There you go. What's new? One thing I always look at when I'm looking at an app, a new one, is how often is the software updated and cleaned up and stuff. So the last time there was an update, it was 1 week ago, version 4.3, whatever. And you can see, 3 months ago there was an update, 8 months ago there was an update. The way they fixed up the search engine or whatever they... So every few months the developer comes back here and fine-tunes it. The app's been in operation for 18 months, so it's pretty fine-tuned. But still, they just had an update 4.3.53. But basically what this app is, it's your own little news thing. And what you do is you got two hands. Okay, on one hand, you have Time Magazine, the New York Times, the Herald, the Miami Herald, the Jacksonville Post, the Tampa Tribune, the New York Times, Scientific American. You list it, you put in this hand all the places that you like to, all the different magazines you like to read, all the different New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, whatever newspapers you want to read. If you would get all of those, subscriptions. And then in this hand you say, I want to read about sports. I want to read, so this is now topics over in this hand. Here's the sources: ABC News, NBC News, Fox News. All that is in this bucket. And then in this bucket is, I want to read about sports. I want to read about scientific things. I want to read about aeronautics. I want to read about rocket ships, new airplanes, iPhones, iPads, technology topics, news topics, world news, Iran, Israel, anything about those countries. And what Flipboard does is it mixes all the story types that you want to read about and blends them in with all the sources that you say you want the news from, and it produces, this is my Flipboard. Whoops, there's food, I'm gonna go back. So the way the Flipboard starts is it shows you like a sliding, what you see right here. See, next victim of Supreme Court voting rights. And the next thing is the NASA addresses criticism over all-male crew selection. This is just, now you can flip at that point and come here, and then you can read about that story. And it's somewhere in all these things. So I have selected, ABC News. Well, here's a story about Iran live updates, actual bombing that's going on over there. Here's recipes from Southern Living. So I put Southern Living in this as a magazine source. Here's PC Magazine. So there's a story about we found early Amazon Prime Day smartphone discounts. And then you can so when you're paging like in a newspaper, here you're paging through all the papers that you like to read through, magazines, sources, TV channels, and so forth. And it's only going to show you the kind of stories that you want to read. You don't have to, scan through all this other stuff that you're not interested in reading. So it's just the topics. Now, you may not want to read all this. You may want to skip the food items today. Elon Musk could become the world's first trillionaire. Yeah, he will be. When the SpaceX thing goes live on Friday, depending on where the share values go, he's got a lot of shares. It's going to open at $135 a share. And they say it's 4 times overprescribed, according to one of these articles that I flipped through. So here's the stories that I would be reading tonight if I was going to be reading this, which I'm not going to. I'm just showing. This is a demonstration for you. You see how it works, and then if you want to read the article, this is like headline. See, why a frustrated Trump is turning again to bombs to force. There we go. We're going to read that article. We're going to hit this is actually right from CNN, but there's a tab up here that says, or the web view or the reader view. If you do the reader view, it strips out all the commercials that you would get if you got it from CNN's site. Here's the web view. There's the key picture in the headline. But you see, you got all this stuff on the sides, and things will break out and try to sell you stuff. If you hit the reader view, it strips all that out, and you just get the story. Analysis: why a frustrated Trump is turning again to bombs to force Iran's hand. And it's a political topic, and it's CNN. Defense Secretary Hegseth says this. Administration hopes that. And, you got to get this country to capitulate. There needs to be a civil war. If you're going to get rid of, if these people want a regime change, then they need to change it. The U.S. government can't change the regime for the Iranians. They have to take. We had a civil war. Yeah. So they need to have their own form of a civil war, which means all the, so the Iranian guards, whatever they call themselves, they need to be taken over by the civilians. And we don't want to get machine gunned anymore, and you guys are out and we're in. Now, do we want to get along or not, or are we going to duke it out? We got more of us than you. Now, they got all the rifles, so they got to get rifles from somewhere, and ammunition and all that kind of stuff. They can't do a civil war throwing, with slingshots, because the other side has guns. Yeah, so if you're going to take them over, you got to take them over. So you'd have to get neighboring countries friendlies to supply them with weaponry. That's the only way a civil war is going to happen. And we can bomb out with Israel, bomb out as much as we can see, and we've been not bombing for 6 or 7 weeks, but you can be sure there's a lot of satellite telemetry going on, coming up with a whole new target list, which would be discussed with Central Command to decide what the targets will be. So that's what's happening, like tonight. For 2 nights, they've been bombing Iran again. So I think they have to continue until they just totally capitulate, meaning complete surrender, like Japan did. Now, Japan took a couple of atomic bombs to have them capitulate. Now, I don't know what it's going to take with Iran. I think there has to be an uprising of the 93 million people, or the 90 million people that don't like the way things are. And I'm sure they don't like the way things are right now. Because they're going to start taking out electric power plants. Maybe not the power plants themselves, but the connecting wiring and all that. They can disrupt that so that people don't get electricity, like everybody. And when you start knocking out cities with electric, then now you're talking about people that are really going to get very angry at what's going on. And that's what you need. That's, to me, I'm not a political scientist extraordinaire of any sort. There you go, there's Flipboard. So that's how you can keep track. And then you can see iPhones, gold. I'm interested in gold. Here's the Model Y car. I can press that tab, and all the rest of the articles are about the Model Y, that's the car we have. This is coming out. I drove the Rivian 2 and compared it to the Model Y. So you get articles about how the Model Y compares with other cars, how the Model Ys are being manufactured, what it costs to charge a Tesla monthly versus fueling a Honda Civic. I can tell you it's about 1/3 the price for electricity over gasoline. Maybe 1/4 of the price. So if it costs you $60 to fill up your car, it'll cost you $20 or $15 to fill up a Tesla with electricity. particularly with the gas prices the way they are right now. It's at least a 75% savings. So, of course, your $80 to fill up, your SUV is going to cost me $20 in electricity to get the same mileage with a 4,000-pound car. That's our experience, and we've been driving these cars now. This is our second 3-year lease, which comes up in 7 months, I think. Yeah, what is this? This is June. 9 months. March. Our lease is up in March. But they're going to get a hold of us in January and say, hey, you want to turn your car in 2 months early? And we'll give you a new one, and we'll pay the last 2 months. And give you an extra 500 hours worth of damage protection. That's what they did between the last 2 leases. We'll probably do the same thing this time. Unless just turn in the Model Y and get another Model Y. But if you can buy the robo-taxi, that's what I'd like to switch into. The robo-cab, where they have no steering wheel, no pedals. You get in there, you tell it where to go, and it goes. And that's just like the elevator without the elevator driver. Remember that story? Yeah. Just get the robocab. And we want it personally because I don't want a bunch of different people in it. And that way it's my personal robo, and it's like it's less than 1/2 the price. So it'd be cheaper. And you get the exclusive use of a robocab or whatever they call it. It's 2-seater, that's all we need. It's got a big trunk on the back. And you just tell the car where to go, and it takes you there. Or you can type it in if you want to type it in. You can connect it with your phone and put the address in on your phone and transfer it right to the car. I can do that right now with the Tesla. In other words, right here in the navigator, I can go. Here's my app on the phone. Well, I can do it on here, so that way you can see. So here's the app, and you go into location. See there, location, and you see where it says navigate. Right there, you just touch navigate. Type in Houston's, Houstons, Houston's. Bingo, on Northwest Executive Drive, 2.7 miles from here. That's the one. There you go. There is the route. Send to the car. So now that routing, that whole address and routing is now in the car's computer. So you can take us to Houston's for lunch tomorrow, or Saturday, or whatever we go. This is Thursday. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Anyway, I just sent the Houston's address to the car. So now when you get in the car, it'll be on the list of places that you may want to go. It won't take you there when you get in there. Actually, it's connected to Marilyn's calendar, and if you just push a button, go to work, and it'll take her to her bank. She doesn't have to do a thing, and hit the start button, and boom, it'll go to her bank. All right, I've been talking 2.5 hours. 2 hours and 24 minutes. See, that's the elapsed time reader up there. Yeah. This is the local time right here. 1:15 a.m. Yeah. All right, I'm done. I can talk all night. I get actually a lot of... It's 1:16 a.m. Yeah. I have a lot of people that are listening to me right now in California. My whole neighborhood that lived up in East Hills, a lot of them are in California, and they listen to me at night. Yeah, old Jimmy sitting here. I wired up this studio myself, so it gives me something to do. It gives me purpose in my... I'm over 80. See, I've written a book, got it published. I've been teaching at FAU for 23 years. I'm not, there's not much demand for what I was teaching digital photography, but the digital phones and everything have become so easy to use, they don't need me to show them how to do it. So I've become out of demand because of the times. Here's the Mac. This is 9 to 5 Mac. It's a magazine, an electronic magazine. Since the Worldwide Developer Conference is in Cupertino this week, all these articles are written about new stuff that's coming out and the new software. And the Apple iPad OS 27 there we go. It's showing what's going on with the software, in a technical way, which I'll read this another time. And I'll let you, at this hour, you're either a hypochondriac and you're up all night, or you're in the hospital and you're trying to listen to anything but, people, you have your headphones on, and or you're riding in a car. You could be in a different time zone. It could be 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in California, right? Yeah, it could be 10:18. It would be 10:18 p.m. in Cupertino, California right now, and you could be driving in a car back to Arizona. And at 10 o'clock at night, you got to listen to somebody. Well, it might as well be Uncle Jim, your next door neighbor extraordinaire. Anyway, so here's an article about iPad OS. I'm all interested in this stuff because people want to know, and I'm a giver of information. So, I've got, the highest technology iPhone that Apple makes. So does Marilyn. And there's no new software updates coming yet. It'll be in another couple of months. And be interesting, they have a iPhone Fold is the new thing, where you're going to have a screen on this side, and then you open it up, and it could be a small iPad, with iPad type spacing. And this is iPhone, so you got the iPhone on one side, you got the cameras on this side, and you open up a clamshell, and you get basically an iPad mini in the middle with a 8 or 9 inch diagonal display. To me, that's where we're going with phones. Right now, we have the big screen, like this, which has a lot of real estate on it. So when you go to AP for the AP News, there you go. The latest Iran-U.S. exchange of fire, hostilities escalate. It needs to. They need to get it done. Get the job done, and then get out. That's what has to happen. And I am not. No one is asking my opinion on these matters because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, I'll leave it up to Jesse Waters and his guests. But that's what you got to do. You got to go on the news, pick out several news sources, and the guests that they invite to their professional opinions, because they're former generals or whatever, and they'll discuss, what's going on and whether, Trump is doing the right thing, the wrong thing, Israel and the USA are, ganging up Iran because Iran's trying to create a nuclear weapon. And, those people are they're tough enough with just shipping missiles all over the place. The last thing you want is Iran with a nuclear weapon. And they've been working on it for 20 years, and we stopped them. Trump thumped them with these 30,000-pound bombs. They're designed to blow up these limestone mountains that they were building these weapons in these limestone caves. Full lighting, full air conditioning. I mean, you wouldn't know you were inside of a mountain. So they had to use these 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs, and they aim at it, and there was two. One would hit, and then about 3 seconds later, a second one would go right through the same hole, even deeper, because they had to get down about 800 feet of solid, crystal stone, limestone. And it did that in 3 different locations and completely collapsed the mountains on top of the contents of the nuclear facilities. They had 3 different nuclear facilities, and we took all 3 of them out. And then we used cruise missiles for the other nuclear sites that were not buried in mountains. And there were like 70 cruise missiles that were sent all over the country, knocking out targets that were supposed to be, nuclear proliferation war factories. And now we've been pausing for 6 weeks while they're supposedly trying to make a deal with these people. They'd rather this Republican Guard, whatever they call themselves, they would rather all go down in effigy than give up. They're not going to give up unless they're just totally taken over by the masses, which that's what has to happen. So we got to soften them up to the point where we can, some neighboring countries can get weapons to the citizenry in there so they can basically fight back on the people that have the guns, because they're machine gunning them down in the street. Today they're hanging them and they're doing all the bad things they've been doing. They've been doing them for the last 6 weeks. We've been worrying about there's not going to be a deal made. That's just my opinion. These people haven't made a deal in 47 years. Trump likes to think he's the deal maker, but when the other side doesn't want to do a deal, then it's not going to be a deal, period. So that's it. The only deal they're going to sign is one of complete, utter surrender, because we've basically killed off everybody that's in the Republican Guard. We've knocked out 2 or 3 layers of their executive management of the country, however that is organized, because Israel keeps on spotting where these people are, and they just simultaneously hit them all and knock out 50 or 80 of them at the same time. I don't know if you remember, but there was a trick that these people are so cunning. The Israelis found out what kind of radios that the Republican Guard were using in Iran. And they found out that whatever the company was that was manufacturing, like Motorola or Apple, or it was a company that you would recognize. I don't remember which company, it was manufacturing these phones. Radio walkie-talkies for all the people that were in high-level positions in the Republican Guard in Iran. So Israel found out what that company was, infiltrated that company with their own people, posed as workers, and worked for a couple of years. This took like 3 or 4 years to put this all together. And then what the Israelis that actually were working in the radio company, in the walkie-talkie company, put little plastic explosives in each one of the phones that were going to Iran, to filling that order. for all the new phones that were, all the new walkie-talkies that were coming out, and 2 years, it was a couple years ago. And they manufactured all these phones, and they all had, just imagine a wrapper of gum that you buy where you unfold the aluminum foil and you got this strip, but it was a strip of a plastic explosive, a very high explosive. And it was then wired into the phone, waiting for a certain signal to come. So they delivered all the phones to the people, and they're all happy they got their new phones. And then 30 days later, 40 days later, 6 months later, I don't know, the people that had the control signal to have all these phones blow up. And what they did is they pushed, they typed in a number like 907-330, and all the phones rang because it was like an emergency. So when your phone rang in a certain way, you took the emergency call, and it blew the heads off. And the signal went out to these 2,000 or 3,000 of the highest level Republican Guard people in the chain of command of the Republican Guards in Iran, and they were all killed. You guys said, but it took 4 or 5 years to set it up. And then, they decided this, at 10 o'clock in the morning, there was going to be a test of the emergency signal. And a memo went out, and, because they wanted to test the radios to make sure they were working properly. And everyone answered the call and ended up with brain surgery. They had a plastic explosive held right up to the ears. Bam! Oh, God. And they did the same thing with pacemakers. Not pacemakers, what do you call them? Those little devices that would come up with a number, and you'd wear it on your belt. Text message, I don't know. But I remember you used to have it on your belt, and it would just ring, and then you'd look at it, and then it would have a phone number on it, and then you'd type the phone number in on your phone. Well, they did the same thing with all those things. And they all blew up, and everyone had abdominals, their guts hanging out of the hole they had blown out of the side of them because all those things blew up. Oh, God. And so it got very difficult to communicate in Iran. But all that I just mentioned was a couple of years ago, and I probably loused up the stories, but that's as good as I could do with my aging condition. I thought it was, pretty nasty, clever, thing to have happen. My God. Jeez. You think your iPhone is safe, and there's a plastic explosive in there, bam, they take you out. But they took out hundreds of people, and, they're supplying these phones to only the highest level people, for sure. And they all got wiped out. Whew. And it took them, 4 or 5 years to pull off this whole plan. You had to get the people employed in the company. You had to get them, I had to work there for quite a while to end up with the keys, basically, so they could work at night to recondition those phones with a little extra surprise inside. Oh, boy. That's what they did. They pulled it off, and they killed a lot of, when you're at war with people, they're launching bombs across, from 600 miles away. That's, that's the problem that Israel is having, because while the ceasefire is going on, Iran lobs over 1,200 missiles, that Israel is defending itself with. And, Netanyahu would go back to Trump and say, hey, how would you like it if Iran was sending missiles over to knock out Cincinnati? Don't you think you would do something about it? You're just going to lay over and just let them hit Cincinnati? Hell no. So you think you got a ceasefire? There's no ceasefire. Well, we're counting, 1,200 rockets a week, for the 6 weeks. There's thousands of rockets are coming over here. And you think there's a ceasefire. There's not a ceasefire. You're calling it a ceasefire. The only one that ceased is me and you. They're still shooting rockets over here. They haven't lobbed anyone at the United States yet, but you're coming if we don't get rid of these guys. I think I'll bet you that could be some type of conversation going back and forth between, and I think they're finally getting through to Trump that you're not going to make a deal with these people. You've given them 2 months, and all they're giving you is the rope-a-dope. It's a couple of days. It's been a couple of days for the last 5 weeks that I can remember, at least a month. It's always, we're only 2 days away. And then 2 days, and then we're going to get it next week. And then next week, then it's 3 days. And that's been going on for like 2 months now. And, you told him you're going to wipe them off the face of the earth. So you threatened them every way you possibly can. You've given them all the time. That's reason, other than, you're just going to look like a paper tiger. Because, they know you're not going to do anything because you're afraid of your politics. So get on with it. Knock it off or just go away. Do one or the other. Finish the job or go away. That's your choices. There's nothing in the middle, and there's not going to be a deal. The only deal is going to be on complete surrender. That's the only deal that'll be made. And it'll be made by the citizens, because of a civil war that has broken out. That's the only deal you're going to make, is with the successors. The people that are in power are not going to make a deal. It ain't going to happen. They're not going to give up their nukes, so you can forget that. And I remember reading that Iran said, we got 1,000 pounds of and it's not in those 3 mountains. It's somewhere else. So they keep on talking about we're going to dig out the mountains to get the 1,000 pounds. That's not where it is. They said they had the 900 pounds of stuff somewhere else, not in those 3 sites. There was a news article like that, and maybe it was wrong. Maybe it was misprinted, or what do they call that? Misinformation? Information? But that was the misinformation. Now they're saying everything's under the mountain. Well, maybe that's the misinformation. You never know with these people. So that's why you got to track everything out. It's impossible. It's a big piece of dirt. Iran is not a little small country. It's a huge country. It's like, take Texas times 2. Texas is a big state. Just 2 Texases, that's the similar number of square miles for Iran. Yeah, it's not like the European countries. You can take all of Europe and put it over, and then it'd be the northeastern part of the United States. The northeast, that top third of our country, that's all of Europe, with all those 36 countries. So, the countries in Europe are small. You can drive through 4 or 5 of them, in a half a day. The states in the United States, you're lucky if you get through 2 states in a day in a car. Yeah. Anyway, on that happy note, I am going to say goodnight, because it's time, I believe. Because I'll keep talking, and I know you guys have to stop. Please stop me. Yeah, so we go full screen on the time. Yeah, so I'm sorry it is Thursday instead of the 10th, because I don't have this moniker made yet. I could, but I don't. There it is. But I gotta pretty it up. All right, I just sent it to my. Ouch! I have to stop. recently saved. There's Bill Morris, my good buddy. Time for us to have lunch sometime soon. There it is. Now I can sign off properly. See how easy that was? I just did a little quickie, yeah. There we go. Full screen. Looks a little bright. Yeah. We'll edit that at another time. All right, so listen, you all have a nice late evening. If you're driving, stay on the highway. Use your full self-driving. Yeah, it works. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Give you 30 seconds of epidemic without me talking.